If you want a single example of why America is declining the way that it is today and how everything went wrong, you would be hard-pressed to find a better example than to simply trace the history of the Boeing company, the iconic American aerospace company that pumped out nearly 100,000 planes for the use in Second World War and was a poster child for the might, the ingenuity, and the dominance of the United States in the post-war era. Boeing was America. It employed tens of thousands of people, provided middle-class wages, it was a pathway to upward mobility, helped us go to the moon, pioneered stunning new aircraft to propel the US military, kept innovating and designing new planes which propelled the vast majority of the nearly 100 million Americans today who set foot on a plane at least once a year. But underneath the Goliath, there has been a lot of rot, and rot now for quite some time. We got a reminder of this rot on January 5th, when stunning videos began to surface of the middle section of a brand new Boeing 737 MAX 9 that fell off in the middle of a flight that had just taken off from Portland, Oregon. Let's watch that if you haven't seen it yet.
This wasn't even the emergency door. We're at the end of the plane, so the emergency door is right there. It was just a piece of the plane.
Okay, so there was no one seated there. There was thankfully no one seated near the window.
For those who are just listening, the video shows a section of the plane missing mid-flight, blew out completely. How the hell does this happen? Naturally, people might think, oh, it's an old airplane or it's a maintenance issue. But it is stunning to consider this aircraft was only delivered to Alaska Airlines on October 31st, 2023, not even 2 months into its history, and a piece is falling out in the sky. The troubling part is that this is the latest brand new Boeing aircraft to have a safety issue that is endangering passengers in just the last 5 years. Recall, the span of just 5 months in late 2018 and 2019, 2 brand new Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircrafts crashed, killing a total of 346 people and forcing the entire fleet to be grounded, launching a massive global investigation. The results of that investigation were stunning. They show how we got to this moment. Boeing was forced to pay $2.5 billion to the US government to stave off criminal charges against the company and its top pilot, who they allege had conspired to hide software updates to its piloting system from the FAA and other authorities. That update was later found to be culpable for 2 of the crashes, and the secrecy was all part of a major corporate plan to rush the product to market to beat out competitors, and indicated that the company was hard-pressed to deliver big profits to its shareholders. Shareholder pressure has ruled Boeing now for decades. In fact, in the period between 2014 and 2019, Boeing bought back $60 billion of its own stock, money that could and should have been used for research and development and product innovation and safety. Even after the crash, Boeing has still pumped tens of billions of dollars back into stock buybacks to stop the bleeding, and to this day has not fundamentally altered their business MO. In fact, stock buybacks themselves were the cause of the company to have very little cash on hand when the coronavirus pandemic hit in 2020, which meant Washington had to bail out Boeing to the tune of billions of dollars. So if you were tracking so far, it goes like this, the same arc for the whole country. Prior to the financialization era of the 1980s, Boeing built brand and aircrafts that symbolized the might and progress of America. They traded, though, off the reputation of that brand to prop up their share price, and it became the only thing that mattered to the executives. And when your top job is to pump out airplanes as a means of propping up your stock price, instead of building great airplanes and hoping that the stock price follows, the 737 MAX 8 and 9 is what happens. The absolute most insane thing is that they were supposed to have their comeuppance already. If you read that 2021 Department of Justice agreement with Boeing, it castigates the company for conspiring to hide important safety information from US regulators and says practices were put into place to ensure that something like this never happens again. 2 years later, a brand new plane, the very latest iteration of that same aircraft, has a piece of side that blows off in the middle of the sky. A piddly $2.5 billion fine is not going to fix this, nor even is some fake statement of contrition or some fake investigation from the government. The entire system is responsible for creating this problem over decades, and thus the only solution is to burn down the system itself. I am not naive. I know this is not going to happen, which is why the future, in my opinion, is very grim. People too often have a recency bias in their thinking about America. Yeah, things are bad, but if you look at our history, we always come out fine in the end. What they don't tell you is that in an interim period, millions of people die Billions of dollars are lost. The lessons that we eventually learn were usually eminently predictable and fixable in the moment. It was greed and corruption that usually stood in the way. The likely outcome is this: America is going to find itself in a genuine crisis. We will need planes, and we will find out we barely even know how to build them anymore. We will lose either a battle, lives, or a war, and people will ask, how the hell could this happen? And in that moment, we're going to rewind the clock, and we're going to look back at the Boeing company, and you're going to see how clearly you could predict our future. I told you so's are not going to matter so much to the people who suffer as a result of the folly that could be fixed right now. So look, Krystal, we don't know yet.
Hey guys, obviously I had a lot of thoughts on what Saagar had to say there. So if you want to see my thoughts on this monologue and every other Saagar monologue, make sure you subscribe at breakingpoints.com.